Hey traders, TG Watkins here. It is March 2nd when I'm recording this, and just want to let you guys know that yesterday I did my bullish or bearish market update webinar. It's now recorded, we got it uploaded, so we're going to put the link in here for you, but if you guys want, go check it out. It's underneath Simpler Trading's YouTube channel, and just look for my 2023 bull bear market update. So yeah, lots of information in there. Definitely, not just some sales pitch or anything else like that. I really actually go into a lot of detail and really try and take a look at what the market's doing and some internals and try to have an open mind about things. So take a look at it, see what you guys think. We do have some sweeteners at the end of the thing if you are interested in either following me or subscribing or taking any other classes. So, that's at the end. And then anybody else interested, yeah, come check it out. And you can find me over here if you want to do a $7 trial for 30 days. All right, so let's dive into it. The thing we saw today, there was a little bit of news. I guess some of the Fed heads are out there again talking, but you know what? I've been looking for this pullback to kind of complete itself at some point, and we're starting to see some inklings of that. The only thing I can talk about right now is just seeing that, it's trying to hold the low of this pullback. That does not mean a resumption of the uptrend. There are a lot of other stocks that are going up out there, so do take a look around the market. But as far as the SPY goes, we do have price below the 50, but the Moxie indicator above 0. So it is a potential trampoline move. It's not confirmed yet, but I'm looking at that. And it's also basically sitting on the daily 200. So this could also be, this could be good. We're looking at this. The other thing is that we do have the 50 over the 200. So, that looks good. Also, the pullback really kind of made sense. We saw a lot of things that said that this should be happening. And then on top of that, we, February, it's kind of a seasonally weak month. So the fact that this pulled back, not too big of a deal. And remember, that pullback started here on the hourly chart with price over the hourly 50, but the Moxie indicator below 0. And so that's where we got the move to the downside, and then it just persisted for a while. That's fine. And we've just been waiting for this kind of to work itself out. And now it looks like basically a double bottom, a little bit of an undercut. So, maybe an undercut and rally. And then if we look at the 15-minute time frame, you'll notice in through here the Moxie indicator was trending up, but notice it was very spread from each other. That means it's not very strong. That meant in through here, just nothing to do. Still kind of waiting for the market to sort itself out. But now that we've basically, somewhere in here got a double bottom, we have positive divergence on the 15-minute time frame. And now look at the Moxie indicator. Now this thing looks much better. It's over 0. Both lines are over 0. They're tight. It looks like one line. This is looking much better. So on the 15-minute time frame, this is looking good, and we can add to it the support on the daily chart, and we can add to it the double bottom. So I'm kind of looking at maybe this pullback is starting to find a place that it's going to bounce. Now, that does not mean that we are in a new uptrend or a swing long. We still have the hourly chart that needs to get itself figured out, and what that means, the problem is that we're still trying to go up across a downtrending hourly 50, and if we do get over the hourly 50, the Moxie indicator is still below 0. So we still have more work to do. Kind of like how here you see on the 15-minute time frame, it took some work, it took some up and down and chopping around in order to kind of build a double bottom. Well, it's going to do, it's going to do some similar kind of work on the hourly chart in order to get back over those moving averages and then to start engaging with those uptrending moving averages and getting the hourly Moxie to move up or diverge or something like that. It's just going to take some time. If you want to look at kind of a recent example we had, you can see right here where the SPY, or the price, was trying to chop through the hourly 50. Look how long that spent just trying to get through it. Meanwhile, the Moxie indicator was starting to build up. So we just got to give it some time. The bottom might be in, maybe, but that doesn't mean that the uptrend for the SPY is ready to go yet. So just kind of keep that in mind. Then if we come over to the UVXY, I've been kind of watching this one, because really it was getting to a point where, yes, it was getting a little oversold and it was starting to flag sideways and move up a bit. But I was looking for this. I was just watching and saying, okay, is this going to give us some clues that the UVXY wants to pop? Because if it does want to pop, that's going to be bad for the market. I am still cautious about this. The Moxie indicator is above 0 and, it has been flagging for some time. And we did get a couple of moves. But, honestly, it just hasn't really gone anywhere. So for now, it looks like it was just kind of a oversold situation. It kind of got closer to its downtrending moving averages. The market did pull back, but this didn't really go anywhere. So until I see a new series of bullish setups on the UVXY, this is kind of looking good for a breakdown, which is good for the market. We want to see this thing be weak. We had a little bit of a move up and kind of a double top right there. And hopefully price continues to stay underneath the hourly 50. So just kind of keep an eye on that and see what we can do. And then if we look at the VIX, this is the other thing that we saw start to move up a little bit. You can see it got over the daily 50 and the 50 crossed over the 200, all that kind of stuff. But again, it's kind of breaking down. So it had its move and now it's starting to come back down. So again, this is good for now. We'll have to kind of keep an eye on it because, as I said before, with the UVXY, we are seeing some, divergences and some inklings. But this can just kind of keep failing and fading. So, we just need to keep watching and saying, hey, if this sets up again, okay, we'll be careful. But right now, I'm pretty happy with this starting to just weaken and move down. All right, if we go and look at the NASDAQ, everything is more or less kind of looking the same. The thing I'll be talking about a little bit later in this show is that, the big names like Tesla, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, they all pulled back to their daily 50s. Well, at least most of them pulled back to their daily 50s. Apple is close and Tesla is actually still pretty high, but it's kind of on its way. And so that was part of the thing is we had a really, really good move right there from January into February. And it's just, at this point, it's pretty natural and normal for price to pull back. I mean, this is what we've been looking for, that this was just excessive. That was too high. And you can see here was the Moxie price trigger calling that on the hourly chart. And now we're back down to about the daily 50. Now, we don't know yet if the daily 50 is going to totally hold perfectly right here. But at least the fact that this is pulled back and is coming into contact with the uptrending daily 50, this is looking decent, so I'm kind of I'm not too bullish right now. If this is going to, or I'm not too bearish, if this is going to be bearish later, well, then I would expect we're probably going to get a bounce and then we roll over. So we've had a pullback. Now let's see where it goes. And then if we look at the IWM, it's kind of the same story. We had a really big move up here. We had the Moxie price trigger. We had an inverse trampoline move, and we had a big gap between price and the daily 50, and now we're pulling back to the daily 50, and this is starting to look fairly orderly, like look at that double bottom's looking pretty good. Now again, we are not out of the woods yet, but it's not looking terrible. It's not looking terrible. So let's keep an eye on this and just I got to be on the bullish side right now until something says otherwise. And if we look at the Dow, now, I know the Dow broke down, whatever, all that kind of stuff. I'm not too surprised. The Dow is a very slow mover, and it was the first one to really kind of get up here. So I'm totally okay with it just kind of going sideways for quite some time while the rest of the market catches up. Because, when they all kind of get out of phase a little bit too much, that doesn't work. Something's going to have to play catch up and something's going to have to slow down. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing. But we could see a double top, negative divergence here on the daily chart and through there. Just some weakness here on the hourly. And so the fact that it moved down, not surprising. And if we come over here and I show you the Dow, being that it was one of the first indices to get over its monthly and weekly time frames, look at it. It's totally fine. If anything, it's just kind of pulling back into the higher time frame moving averages, and same thing here, it's just kind of pulling back. Now, will this continue? I don't know, but for now, I'm looking at this and it seems to just be kind of a constructive pullback. So I'm going to be leaning on that until we see otherwise. I mean, you can see right here it did the same thing. It pulled back into the monthly 10 and then it started to take off. So really, I'm just kind of looking for verification that this is actually going to be good stuff. I'm not going to be panicking too much right now. And we look at the semis. Same deal as the others. They were all very extended. You can see price was moving up. The Moxie indicator was moving down. It's kind of giving us a heads up. There's your price trigger, and this is an inverse trampoline move. So price dropped. Well, doesn't this look like it's kind of done going down? I mean, we're already starting to put in a double bottom in through here. Again, it's not totally fixed yet, But this looks like it's pulling back and maybe going to go sideways until the daily 50 catches up. Not too bad, you know? So the semis look all right. And then if we come over to, say, the dollar, and then I'll show you TNX because this has been some of the stuff that's also worked to kind of pull the market down. If you guys know my patterns that I talk about, there are two things I want to show you, or maybe three. One of them is a 50, 200, 50 maneuver. So if this was a normal stock and we saw this, I'd be like, hey, yeah, great, that's an awesome move, wonderful. But I don't want to buy it here. If anything, I would be expecting that there's going to be a pullback. Now, I don't know what the pullback is going to look like or how far down it's going to go, but around this area, there should be a pullback. So the fact that the dollar is up here, if it's going to behave the way that I think it should based on chart patterns, then I should be expecting the dollar to move down. That's going to be good for GDX, gold. That's going to be good for the market in general. And so I'm kind of looking at this and saying, seems to me we should be getting a pullback, and that might help the market a little bit. We can also see price up, Moxie indicator down, so that's kind of the beginning of what we're seeing there. It doesn't have to roll over immediately. It can take some time, but I am generally seeing that. And if we look here at the higher time frame as well, again, I look at this and I say, this is a potential just bounce. Now, I'm looking for a pullback. We got to see if the pullback is into strength or weakness, but so far, this is just a bounce. And you can see here, price is running up into the underside of the monthly 10. So we're going to have to give it some time and see where that goes. On that note, let me just show you the TNX. All right, TNX. There we go. I don't know why that was so difficult for me. But yeah, it is moving up. We know this. There we go. And honestly, I don't have much to say about the TNX. I don't know where it's going to go. It is moving. It there's your double bottom, there's your positive divergence, and it's been off to the races. I don't really see anything that I can say like I can with the UUP, the dollar, if it's going to be moving down. I just can't say that. You know, it is getting up here a little bit, but, you know, these are bigger macro forces. I really don't know much of what I can say in through here. You know, it's the TNX. It's going to kind of do whatever it wants to do as far as, you know, the economy. And I just don't know. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you guys. It is bouncing off of the monthly 10. It basically bounced off of the weekly 50. You could say maybe it just kind of went sideways and up. Yeah, this is putting pressure on the market. And a lot of people are really worried that the TNX is going up right now. You know, they're really worried. So this is something we're just going to, yeah, we're going to have to keep an eye on this. I don't, you know, if it keeps going up, can the market handle it? Or is this really going to be a problem? Not sure what to say about that. Anyway, if we then come over to, say, GDX, and we talked about this in the teaser that I did yesterday, and relating this to the dollar, let's get over here actually, relating this to the dollar and seeing that the dollar was getting to a point where it looked like it wanted to pull back. Well, GDX was starting to get to a point where it was excessively low. It was getting way outside of that third ATR and big gap between price and the 8 EMA. You can look here, price down, Moxie indicator flat, so we're starting to get some positive divergence. Again, if you're on the short side, be careful. And if you're looking to play the long side, well, this is the beginning of that. And you can see here, Moxie indicator started making new highs. The two lines looked amazing. Like, look at that. I mean, that is a good signal on the 15-minute time frame. And you can see here that price started to hold the 15-minute 50. So yes, that is a first move. Now, it's not going, this is just the first move. I don't know how high it's going to go, but I would expect a pullback at some point. So this is not a buy and hold at this point. If anything, I'm going to be looking for some sort of pullback to confirm that the low is in, and then I would be willing to go long. Remember my first move versus second move type concept. All right, so we have that. And then FXI, just, you know, totally unrelated, but the patterns are very similar. You'll see that this move up and then the pullback in FXI and GDX are almost identical. And they're doing the same kind of thing. Same thing, getting really, really oversold here on the daily chart. And then what you can see here is price down, Moxie indicator up. There's your positive divergence. You could even see there was a double bottom right there. And then you could see right there, that was a trampoline move. So price below the 50, but the Moxie indicator above 0, trampoline move, and pop, there you go. So if you see this, you know, maybe you're like, oh man, I missed something. Well, sure, you missed the first move. But the first moves, I feel, are always the hardest to get. And so I'm waiting for a pullback. at this point, I'm waiting for a pullback to test this pop, this first low, and then if it holds, then I will be willing to go in, and that should be a much cleaner setup and really the bigger trade. We also have here price below the daily 50, the Moxie indicator above 0. That is a potential trampoline move. We just need to have the lower time frame confirm that at some point. And if we go over to the higher time frame, the other reason, and this is something I talk about in my market update webinar, the top for the FXI was February of 2021, and here we are March of 2023. It's a pretty long time for a bear market. I mean, that is almost a solid 2 years. And what are we seeing that's different? Well, when this all broke down, price got underneath the monthly 10. What about now? We're back over the monthly 10. So, we're seeing some differences. How about when this thing broke down? Well, we had the 8 below the 21 and price below the 50. Now what do we have? We have the 8 over the 21 and price over the 50. So it looks to me like something's changing out there. I would keep an eye on this kind of stuff because the higher time frames are speaking to me. All right, so we got all that, and then if we look at Tesla, I covered this today on the daily 5 because, well, it was appropriate. This seems like a little bit of a buy the rumor, sell the news type situation since Tesla had their investor day, but the chart said that it was likely to go down. First of all, I've been talking about Tesla right in here saying this is about the peak. I don't think it can go much higher, and we should be looking forward to pull back because of the 50-250 maneuver on the daily chart. Well, Tesla was taking forever. It really just kept going up and going sideways and chopping around. Meanwhile, Microsoft, Amazon, Google all pulled back to their daily 50s. Apple was on its way to its daily 50, and yet Tesla just wouldn't go down. But I wouldn't be long. That was the thing that I was telling the options traders and the Moxie traders. I was like, don't be long. Why? Because that is an inverse trampoline move on the hourly chart. Price should not be over the 50 if the Moxie indicator is below 0. It took a little while, but it finally engaged, and it was a buy the rumor, sell the news type situation on the Tesla Investors Day. So now at this point, we're just going to have to see where this goes. I'm always cautious about trying to short pullbacks because, well, they're not very easy. And, there is still a gap between price and the daily 50. Will it make it all the way down like it did back here? We're going to have to see. If that works out, then great. My patterns work out. But if it kind of comes down shallow and then moves up, well, that's a pullback found its support. It didn't exactly want the 50, but found something else and decided to go up. All right, so that's Tesla. And if we look at Apple, you can see, Apple's been doing that pattern, and it's been doing it exactly. You can see that we had double top, negative divergence, and there's your Moxie price trigger. So that's been working. You can see a continuation as price got rejected by the hourly 50. And again, price closing in on the daily 50, just like I figured Tesla should. And you can see back here, price got all the way back down to the daily 50. Now, the question that I've been talking about, and I've been telling everybody, like, this is the thing that we need to be looking for. We need to figure out when this is done pulling back or reaches the daily 50, is it into weakness? Because here you go, price pulled back to the daily 50 and kept going, that's into weakness. Or is this going to be into strength, and once it comes down and finds support, is it going to go higher? That's the question, and we're not there yet, so we need to keep watching. If you look at Microsoft, basically the same thing. You can see back here, price went back to the 50, and here's price back to the 50. Now the difference is, if we zoom out, the difference is we have a trampoline move here on the daily chart. Back here, the bear market was still pretty strong. We did have some divergence. The Moxie price trigger did fire on time, but it just wasn't ready yet. It was a 50-250 maneuver, yes, but when price came back down to the daily 50, it was not enough and continued down. Now look at this. New lows, higher Moxie indicator. So we're still seeing some positive divergence. And not only that, when price dipped again, we had the Moxie indicator above 0, and it was a double bottom. So this really is, at that point, a really good bullish setup. And that is what helped propel us right here from December and January. And then the market pulled back. So far, this is all looking pretty normal. Now we just need to see, is this into strength or is it into weakness? And right now we just don't have enough information. There's just not enough happening yet to tell us anything like that. So just got to keep watching. There's Microsoft, and we look at Amazon, basically seeing the same thing. You can see here, that was to the 50, weakness. That was to the 50, weakness. Now here we are. Now we have the question, is it into weakness or is it into strength? I will note that the Moxie indicator has been going up compared to price moving down, and the Moxie indicator is still above 0 when price is down here. It was kind of the same thing here, but you'll notice that the Moxie indicator did continue to go below 0. So we need to keep watching and seeing, can the Moxie indicator stay above 0, and is that going to be strength? As far as this pullback and continuations and stuff, I want to show you this was a continuation to the downside. That was an inverse trampoline move. Price should not be over the 50 if the Moxie indicator is below 0. The other thing for Amazon that I do want to show on the monthly and weekly time frame, again, I'm a little cautious on the downside. And the reason I'm cautious on the downside is because there's a lot of support zone right there. Okay, that's a lot of stuff, and the market was in a bubble in 2020, and the whole goal of what the Fed is doing, other than inflation, and what the market participants are doing, is they're trying to suck the money out of the market. Okay, they're trying to pop that bubble. Well, it looks to me like the bubble has been popped. Okay, now the question is, do we just keep going lower? Are we really gonna really go lower? I don't know yet, but this is a pretty reasonable area for price to come back down to and just hang out at, because, well, that's a lot of price congestion. And again, the bubble's been popped. So what I'm starting to see on the weekly chart is price down, Moxie indicator slightly up, but that is a form of divergence, and I'm looking again to see if there's an elf shoe. So if we look here on the weekly chart, I'm looking to see leg, heel, arch of the foot, ball of the foot, and I want to see if that actually works. We don't know yet. We're still waiting for confirmation, but if it does, I'm starting to see the basis and the foundation of that. If we look at Google, not much to say here. We are seeing, again, a potential double, triple bottom in through there, right at potential support. And if we look down at the daily and hourly chart, I'm still seeing a lot of positivity with the Moxie indicator. Like, look at this. It has been trending up and up and up, even though price has been down and now up. So, it's sure seems like it's trying to turn around, and right now it's making a higher low. We'll have to see if that holds. It's still too early to tell, but yeah, it looks like it's coming into some support. So I'd be careful on the short side. All right, and then I want to show you Porch. These are some names. I just let me show you at the higher time frame here. This is another indication that the bubble has definitely been popped, because this was a name going into 2022 and it got popped. Okay, a lot of these names have been repriced. Now that doesn't mean that they're going to just jump up and become a new bull market, but this is an area where we should be aware of and watching, because they are basing. Okay, they're building a base, and eventually, if everything works out for them, they will start to go up. So start building a list of names like this that are giving us potential. The one thing I really did want to show you here on this pullback to emphasize the Moxie indicator is, if you look here on the hourly chart, what do we have? Double top, negative divergence, and there's your price trigger. Moxie indicator continued down. It broke down and just continued to free fall. And you could see that there was just a huge gap right in through here. And yeah, so that makes sense. Then the Moxie indicator pretty much called it for you. I mean, right there, that hourly chart is really good. And if you want to see that again, check out Redfin. Almost the same setup, almost identical. You could see a huge gap in through there. This one actually did an inverse trampoline move right there, and there is your Moxie price trigger to the downside. And then on top of that, you could see price getting rejected by the hourly 50. And again, right back down to the daily 50 area. So huge moves in January. February was kind of a sideways, and then they started to move down. February was sideways to down, and then these things pulled back. Now I'm at the point where I'm watching to see if any of these pullbacks are into strength, and that's kind of where I'm settled. But remember, if you guys are interested, could come and check out the bullish or bearish market update that I put out there. And yeah, looking forward to it. Happy to have any comments and see what you guys say. All right, thanks again. We'll catch you at the next one.
Hey, Grayson Rose here with StockCharts. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, consider giving it a like down below, maybe leave us a comment, and if you're new to the channel, you can subscribe at the link up above. We're gonna bring you daily content from an incredible collection of technical analysts and financial experts.